Welcome to Witch Way. I'm Alix, and this is the real-world witch lore behind the spellbinding alternate history novel by Alix E. Harrow, The Once and Future Witches. Published in 2020, this tale follows the three estranged Eastwood sisters: James Juniper, the maiden, Agnes Amaranth, the mother, and Beatrice Belladonna, the crone, who are drawn back together by the remnants of a half-finished spell, and they are destined to resurrect the forgotten art of witching. But something dark stirs in the city, determined to keep the old ways buried, and the women silent. Yet witching has a way of creeping through the cracks, whispered from woman to woman, and the words, well, they have power, and they're not so easily forgotten. The three sisters embody the ancient archetype of the maiden, mother, and crone, which was said to be the three phases of the female life cycle that also happened to echo the moon cycle, waxing full and waning. These are worshipped as the triple goddess in many neo-pagan traditions. This trinity also appears across many mythologies, like the Norns of Norse legend, who weave the fate of every soul. But Harrow breathes new life into this archetype. Juniper is wild and untamed, the fierce maiden. Agnes is nurturing but unyielding, the mother. And Bella, the wise crone, is keeper of stories and spells. And together they form the Sisters of Avalon, named after the mystical island from Arthurian lore, ruled by the sorceress Morgan Le Fay. If Arthur is the once and future king, then these women, they are the once and future witches. But they're not alone in the shadows. Enter the Daughters, a secretive network keeping the embers of magic alive. Some go by the Daughters of Laveau, in homage to the legendary voodoo queen of New Orleans, Marie Laveau. Others call themselves the Daughters of Tituba, honoring the enslaved woman whose coerced confession sparked the infamous Salem witch trials. These trials resulted in 19 people being found guilty of witchcraft and hanged. In Harrow's reimagined history, Old Salem and its witches were burned. From the ashes, New Salem rises, purged and polished. Or so it thinks. Historically, witchcraft in New England was a deadly accusation. Like its namesake, witchcraft was considered a crime, and hanging was the punishment for the guilty. But in parts of Europe, it was considered heresy, which meant burning. Between the 15th and 18th centuries, thousands were tortured, publicly shamed, and executed across Europe and its colonies as the witch craze spread. In Once and Future Witches, accused witches wore iron collars that silenced their spells. These are based on real-world devices like the joug or witch's collar and the witch's bridle, designed to shame and silence. An overwhelming majority of those accused during the witch trials were women, and this prejudice wasn't just in the past. Women were again demonized during the suffrage movement, the same era that inspires Harrow's novel. But that time also birthed powerful occultists and suffragists, like Pamela Coleman Smith, the artist behind the iconic Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, and Victoria Woodall. If you would like to know more about this iconic woman, you can check out an episode of Occult Confessions. And Matilda Gage, the last name which you may recognize from the novel, openly condemned witch hunts in her book Woman, Church and State. Her son-in-law, L. Frank Baum, may have been inspired by her to write of witches in his Wizard of Oz series. Witchcraft has long been a symbol of rebellion. In 1968, radical feminists formed Witch, the Women's International Terrorist Conspiracy from Hell, to curse capitalism itself. 1977 saw the beginning of the Reclaim the Night movement, a campaign for women's safety who often used witch iconography in their demonstrations. And more recently, there's the Hex the Patriarchy movement, and even TikTok trends which have claimed to hex Donald Trump. But how quickly the powerful cry witch hunt when the tables turn. Take the rumours of Matthew Hopkins, the so-called Witchfinder General of England, and it was said that he was eventually accused of witchcraft himself, poetic justice for a man who condemned hundreds. Though this is just rumours. Truth is, he died young, just 27, likely to tuberculosis. Still, stories linger. Perhaps these rumours spread due to the greyhound that was said to always be at his side. Perhaps it was his familiar. He's depicted in a woodcut interrogating two women, demanding the names of their familiars, animal companions said to aid witches, just like in Harrow's book. Once and Future Witches even brings in the dragon-slaying St. George, who, according to the fantasy novel St. George and the Witches by J.W. Dune, turned to witch hunting after he ran out of dragons. Bella finds this story in a tale collected by the Sisters Grimm, a clever twist on the Brothers Grimm, whose fairy tales that they collected often featured witches as villains. Harrow reclaims those stories, turning the witches into heroines. Hidden in these witch tales are the sacred words of power passed down through generations, the words of witching. Some of these words are used to turn a statue into a pig, just like Circe did to Odysseus's men in Greek myth, and Circe even shows up as the villain in the aforementioned St. George and the Witches. But the very first powerful spell we hear performed in the book, Wayward Sisters Hand in Hand. This is a direct quote from Shakespeare's Macbeth, where there are again three witches, also called the Wayward Sisters or Weird Sisters, and they set fate in motion. Alex Harrow has filled this story with so much witch lore. I had a absolute amazing time looking into it. What references did you catch? Let me know in the comments. I love the reworked witch tales and Harrow's fresh take on the mother, maiden, and crone archetype. What have you been watching or reading lately? If you've got a witchy recommendation, please let me know. If you would like to support my channel, you can cast your own spell by clicking the thanks button or by completing your Witch Way ritual in liking this video, sharing it with other magical beings, and subscribing for even more witch lore. As always, thank you very much for watching here on Witch Way.